Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're exploring a narrative of truly epic proportions. We're talking about the creation and the fall. It's a foundational story of origins, of an absolute utopia, and ultimately of a tragic, world-altering fracture. Let's dive right in and see exactly how everything began. It's arguably one of the most famous opening lines in literally all of literary history. Now, the source text initially describes the earth as void, without form, and filled with complete and utter darkness, basically a chaotic nothingness. But then a dramatic transition occurs. The Spirit of God moves over the waters, bringing a perfectly structured universe out of that absolute dark by simply commanding, "Let there be light." So, let's look at part 1, the 7 days of creation. Here we see God literally speaking the world into existence over a methodical 7-day period. On days 1 and 2, we get the separation of light and dark and the creation of the sky. Days 3 and 4 bring dry land, plant life, the sun, the moon, and the stars. Days 5 and 6 introduce the animals of the sea, the sky, and the land, which culminates in humanity. And finally, day 7 is reserved for rest and holiness. Notice the energetic rhythm here. After almost every single step, God pauses, looks at what he made, and proudly declares that it is good. The absolute pinnacle of this whole process happens on the 6th day, and it comes with a crucial mandate. God forms a man named Adam from the literal dust of the earth, breathes life into him, and gives him a massive responsibility. He's put in charge of all the creatures on the land, in the sky, and in the sea. Humanity is designed to reflect the image of the Creator and to rule over the earth. Moving on to part 2, life in Eden. You see, Eden wasn't just some patch of grass, right? It was a perfectly cultivated paradise located in the east. Just look at these living conditions. The garden is sustained by a mist rising from the earth and a flowing river. It is filled with incredibly beautiful trees providing abundant fruit. Adam's job is to tend to this garden, and God even brings all the animals to Adam so he can name them according to their kind. Every single need is completely provided for. However, this paradise came with one massive condition. In the middle of the garden, there were 2 incredibly distinct plants, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, God tells Adam he can freely eat from any tree he wants, but he issues a strict, unmistakable warning about the tree of knowledge. If Adam eats from it, he will surely die. So the stakes are firmly established right from the jump. But before any conflict arises, God sees that Adam is alone and declares that, well, it's just not good. So he puts Adam into a deep sleep, takes one of his ribs, and forms a suitable helper. When Adam wakes up, he joyfully declares, "You are bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh." God names her Eve, as she's to be the mother of all the living. They're completely united, naked, yet totally unashamed. It is a state of absolute innocence. Which brings us to part 3, the serpent and the temptation. Now the tone of the story drastically shifts. We're introduced to the absolute craftiest creature in the garden, the serpent. And his opening tactic is fascinating. He slithers up to Eve and asks a highly loaded question. Notice how clever this is. He doesn't start with a flat denial of God's rules. He starts by planting a tiny, subtle seed of doubt in Eve's mind regarding God's exact instructions. Once Eve engages and clarifies that yes, they can eat from the trees, except for the one in the middle, or they'll die, the serpent drops the subtlety entirely. He completely reverses the Creator's warning, declaring, "You will not surely die." He replaces the terrifying threat of death with an incredibly appealing promise of divine wisdom, basically making it sound like God is simply holding out on them. The really crucial point here is how Eve processes this temptation. She looks at the forbidden fruit. I mean, it's beautiful. It looks delicious. And as the source notes, she rationalizes it. She thinks, what harm could possibly come? I shall gain wisdom. How can that be wrong? The appeal of divine knowledge simply becomes far too attractive for her to resist. And that leads right into part 4, the fall and the curses. Eve eats the fruit. She shares it with her husband, and instantly the whole illusion shatters. Their eyes are opened, but they realize they're naked. They feel shame and fear for the very first time, desperately stitching fig leaves together to hide their bodies. Then, they hear the sound of God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. The tension here is immense, as the Creator calls out to his creation, seeking them out in their hiding place. When God finally confronts them, the psychological reaction of these newly fallen humans is completely fascinating. Instead of just taking responsibility, the blame shifting immediately begins. Step 1, Adam points the finger at Eve, and actually, he subtly throws God under the bus too, saying, "The woman you gave me, she gave me the fruit." Step 2, God turns to Eve, and she immediately deflects, saying, "The serpent deceived her." It's a complete domino effect of denial. Because of this disobedience, God hands down severe, sweeping consequences that forever alter this utopian world. The serpent is cursed to crawl on its belly, eat dust, and face eternal enmity with the woman's offspring. Eve faces the multiplication of sorrow and great pain in childbirth, and the text notes her husband will rule over her. And Adam, the very ground is cursed because of him. He's doomed to work the soil in sorrow and sweat for his food until the day he dies and returns to the literal dust from which he was made. Finally, part 5. Exile from the garden. Now, before the final exile, God actually performs a profound act of mercy. He makes coats of animal skins to properly clothe Adam and Eve. But then, God states his reasoning for what has to happen next. Humanity now possesses the knowledge of good and evil. If fallen, corrupted humanity eats from the tree of life now, they will live forever in a broken, shameful state. So, the exile is actually a preventative measure. The tragic conclusion of the narrative is absolute. Adam and Eve are driven out of Eden to work the unforgiving ground. The entrance to paradise is barred forever. God places celestial beings known as cherubim along with a terrifying flaming sword flashing in every direction to permanently guard the way back to the tree of life. Mankind is officially, permanently separated from paradise. After examining this highly visual, dramatic text, I want to leave you with a thought. Does this ancient story of a lost paradise and the weight of human choice still echo in our everyday struggles today? I mean, the themes of temptation, shifting the blame, and that intense desire for wisdom without boundaries, they're deeply woven into the human condition. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this look at the source material has left you eager to reflect on the lasting nature of these choices. Until next time.